Shalom, Akims. We'd like to give all praises and all honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakapadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of the great millstone that taught us the truth, peace, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom. Welcome to today's lesson. This is your Hebrew Israelite brother, Mashab, here in the city of Detroit. Welcome. Today's lesson is Isaiah chapter 3, starting at verse 25. This is talking about thy men shall fall by the sword. We're talking about the mighty young men of war are going to fall by the sword. Okay? And they're going to fall because pretty soon the way things are going to get here in America is going to be major catastrophe. It's going to be happening. It's going to be major disruption within the neighborhoods of the people. Many of the young men are going to be running off into many of these vacant houses that you see. They're going to be trying to find refuge, somewhere to hide, because it's going to be martial law. It's going to be the draft. These young men are not going to have anywhere to hide. The martial law police are going to be using drones that have firing capabilities. And they're going to have the ability to detect the radio wave chips that a lot of people have inside of them because they took the vaccine. They took that vaccine, and because of that, they have a radio wave chip inside of them, and they don't even realize. Let's put some scripture to this. This is Isaiah chapter 3, starting at verse 25. Thy men shall fall by the sword. And this is true, because when the martial law police, see, it's going to be a domino effect, is what it's going to be. And say, for instance, a terrorist attack happens and occurs. Around the same time, we're coming up on the cold part of the year. Pretty soon it's going to be cold outside, and it's going to be starting up another surge. Another surge that they're going to say, oh, okay, well, it's a new virus to go with the surge. And the new virus will be where when people catch it, they'll die in hours. Not days, not weeks, not months. They won't have no time for a ventilator machine. They'll die in hours. You actually see people dropping dead on the streets. You see? And so these are the things that's going to be going on. And thy mighty in the war. What war? Right now, the proxy war that's going on over there in Ukraine with Russia. Now, the same thing that the Russian troops are doing over in Ukraine, they're busting in, kicking into people's doors, going into their houses, into their homes. They're raping the women and the children, beating them, raping them. And they're taking the older men, shooting them and killing them, because the older men, they know about and understand about older times. You see, during wartime, they killed the old because the old remember old times. After the war, they only want to be remembered the new times because of the new world order. You see, and these things become most prevalent. You see, and on top of that, the new virus is going to make it where people are going to drop dead. You're not going to see people, just doing whatever they want to do, living in the neighborhoods like everything just fine. going back and forth to their jobs in the downtown areas like everything's good. No, everything's about to be on a shutdown. Everything's about to be on a shutdown.
Flexible drill invented by ex-Special Forces soldier is flying off shelves. Here's why. Have you ever seen such a
You see, Salaki. Verse 26. And her gates shall lament and mourn. Yes, because many of you women, many of you people are going to be mourning. You're going to be in much despair as you see many of the calamities that's going to befall you. Many of you women, y'all going to be cut off the welfare system. You're going to be cut off of WIC and cut off of food stamps and Section 8 and all these things. It's going to be cut out. And pretty soon it's going to get so bad that it's not going to be any food on the shelves because of the many different calamities that are being done to block the food chain, the food supply chain now. And so things are about to get really, really bad. And a lot of the people are going to mourn and lament. They're going to be very sorrowful and distressed. And her being desolate shall set upon the ground. You see? Shall set upon the ground. That means set in a low place. You see? In a low place. We're going to look at some references concerning that. Concerning this verse. We have a lot of different precepts. We're going to get into some of these. Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. Judah mourning, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground. That means the word black there in the Hebrew is bakar. That means dark skin. They are dark skinned as unto the ground. And the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. To who? Gone up to your house. Lamentation chapter 1, verse 4. The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast of the Lord. The solemn feast of the Lord. All her gates are desolate. Her priests sigh. Her virgins are afflicted. You see, they're downcast. They've been downcast. And she is in bitterness. That bitterness is talking about America. America is about to go into bitterness because the people are about to go through martial law, because once this new virus takes effect and start killing people in hours, it's going to be where they're going to start shutting down many of the stores, gas stations. They're going to completely shut them down. They're going to make it where no vehicles are allowed on the road. No vehicles on the streets. You won't be able to go anywhere. You won't be able to leave your house. It'll be curfew. And they'll mean it. Because they'll have those, it'll be martial law, and they'll have those robotic dogs with the rifles strapped to their backs, set up at different checkpoints. So when they say curfew, no coming outside, no being on the road, they'll mean it. When you hear pow, that'll be those robots shooting at people. You see? And the martial law police, they're going to be shooting at people as well. And the people are going to be shooting back. These are the things that are going on. People are going to be trying to hide inside the neighborhoods, inside these vacant and abandoned houses. And here in Detroit, as you can clearly see, you have many vacant and abandoned buildings and houses for people to hide and seek refuge. But remember this, during the time of martial law, when they declare martial law, they're going to turn 911 off. When they turn 911 off, that means it's not going to be any police services, ambulance services, paramedics, or any fire department services. So when someone's house catch on fire, one house next to the next house, each house is going to catch fire because of the embers and the flames. It's going to get real bad. House after house after house, on down the block, it's going to be catching fire. And the people are not going to have any water coming from the hydrant to put the fires out. These are the things that's coming. Job chapter 2, verse 8. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal. And he sat down, and among the ashes of many different houses will be burnt up. They're not going to be inhabitable. Many of the people are going to be thrust out into the streets. The Bible tells us this. You see, Job chapter 2, verse 13. And so they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spoke a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great. It's going to be very great for
I really regret not encountering this magical little thing earlier. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lost a lot of money in the garage.
It's lucky for that. Now this is Isaiah chapter 47, verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Talking about America. Because America is not used to having... America is a virgin when it comes down to being attacked by other countries. Not very many countries have invaded America. How many countries do you know of that have came and invaded America? That's not a normal thing. America is a virgin there, you see. But the time is coming when America is not going to be able to do that. Set on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldees. Talking about America, you see. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. You see? Because America is tender and delicate. It has not been exploited and invaded by other countries. There has not been foreign troops here in America setting up shop and setting up garrisons and barracks. You see? You know, making America pay tribute to, other countries. This is something that has not been done. America is a virgin to that. But that time is coming when they declare martial law. Many of the police officers that's on the job now, when everything shuts down, when the virus kicks in, the new virus, and at the same time, you have the complete shutdown of people being able to mobilize and gather, people be able to will be made to stay inside their homes. When people do not have any food, they have no choice but to come outside their homes and try to find food. That's what they're going to do. They're going to bust into the stores. And when they do, of course, it's going to be a lot of death, a lot of shooting, a lot of killing. A lot of killing. But the people ain't going to be able to help them. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to find food somewhere. You see, somehow. They're going to have to do these things. You see? And so, Lamentation chapter 2, verse 10. The elders of the daughter of Zion sit upon the ground and keep silence. They do. Why? Because now you have many of the people that just simply not listening. They're not hearing. You see? And the people are in a low place. They've become this way because they choose not to listen and to obey. They have cast up dust upon their heads. You see, the dust of confusion. They've confused themselves with a lot of false doctrines. You see, false philosophies, many of these things. They have girded themselves with sackcloth. The virgins of Jerusalem hang down their heads to the ground. You see? You see? Because they are in a low place. They're in a low place. There's a lot of calamity that's about to befall uh, uh, America. You see? Let's take this to, uh, let's see. Now, let's read some more of these. We can read some more of these. We can read some more of these. Okay, and this is Ezekiel chapter 26, verse 16. Then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones. Right, because many of these so-called black, Latino, Native American, and Indian women, they're all gonna be brought down low from the high pedestal that the so-called white man has put y'all on. He put y'all on a high pedestal. He gave y'all all this welfare system and all this job head start and career building and all these different things. But when the system shuts down and these things matter not, these things are all distraction to you anyway. You see? When these things shut down and there's no longer 911 to help you, what do you think all of the young men in the communities are going to do to you young women with children? Many of you have called the police on many of these young men on a regular basis and had them arrested. And many of these young men are tired and sitting up in jail. When society shuts down, they always let go, release the inmates. Many of these guys are going to come back out onto the streets looking for you females that don't call the police and had them arrested in the first place. They jumped up and slapped you 3 times. That's an obituary, and they got locked up for 10 to 15 years.
Let this soft mineral melt under your tongue to improve vision so you can say goodbye to your optometrist for good.
You see? And so, and because of that, hey, they coming out with much fury. You see? And these are the different things that's going to be happening. It's going to be many different distractions, preventing people from being able to sustain themselves. I was watching a video the other day concerning what? Concerning homelessness. And LA, California, and some of the other places are truly tremendous. How in Seattle, how they have all these homeless encampments because the people have been starved out, and everything that they tried to do didn't work. Somebody else messed it up, and lay away their robes and put off their briars, garments. They shall clothe themselves with trembling. They shall set upon the ground and shall tremble at every movement. You see? At every movement and every moment. That means they're going to be scared. The people are going to be scared and frightened. It's going to be much sleep deprivation. You're going to have the soldiers, martial law soldiers, that's going to be kicking in people's doors during the daytime. Coming up to their houses and kicking in the doors during the daytime, running into people's houses, and combing the neighborhoods. At least 10 to 15,000 strong martial law officers, kicking in people's doors, going into their homes, beating the women and beating the children, raping them, killing the older men, and raping the older women. They're gonna rape the old women and taking the younger men, gathering them up and taking them to they're gonna have prison buses, long prison buses lined up. You see, on the streets for the people to load up the young men. And once you see the young men load up on the prison buses, you're not gonna see them again. They're gonna be taken to the FEMA camps and made into slaves. Many of them are gonna be taken over into the boot camps and made into soldiers, given a 6 to 8 week crash course boot camp training. It's supposed to be 13 weeks. They're only gonna get 6 to 8 weeks. They're gonna be sent out over to the war over in Ukraine. You see, they're not coming back. They're not gonna live. They're gonna be killed. They're gonna be human shields. on the front line. Is what they're going to be. And be astonished at thee. You see? Luke chapter 19, verse 44. Just the Lord speaking. And shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee. You see, that means the pregnant women. They too is going to have to, sit upon the ground, be in a low position, because it's not going to be any baby food. It's not going to be any natal care, prenatal care for you women. Once everything shuts down, that's going to be it. This time when everything shuts down, that's it. There's also going to be the collapse of the American dollar. Once you collapse the American dollar, there goes everything there. You see? And what are people going to do? Not having any currency for a while. No food in the stores, no currency, a new virus. Joe Biden done passed. Kamala Harris will become president. You see? When all these things take hold, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You see? What are you going to do? And they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another. That means thoroughly. Thoroughly. They're going to break everything down thoroughly. Because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. And we're talking about the visitation of the Lord. We're talking about the visitation of the Lord. Thou knewest not. You see? Thou knewest not. And because of that, the Lord made it clear. He's coming with a great sacrifice for the people. You see? A great sacrifice. And it's going to be truly amazing to see. Truly amazing to see. When you have many of the young men being hauled away, and no one's not going to have any rights. It ain't going to be any rights. It's not going to be any rights for anyone. You see, all that's going to be over with. This is Ezekiel chapter 9. Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 5. Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 5. And to the others he said, in mine hearing, go ye after him. After who? Jake, you young men. Now, also, we gotta do this. 1 second. Slack it for the interference of we're gonna end this video off and we're gonna give all praise and all honor to Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, by Shem Kakodash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone and taught of this truth, peace and salutation to the hopeful list. Shalom.